In order to do that, I have to look at the image that it's portraying. So very similar to the publishing company designing the cover, I have to think what is going to make somebody stay at this website long enough to see what it's even about. So the colors that I chose, I've got red and black going on here, again to try and give it a little bit of the spooky aspect. And then I also made sure to put images of the covers of the books on here. So even if somebody just glances at the website, they see, okay, here's a book, they've got an idea there. The next thing that you always want to keep in mind when you're designing any kind of promotional material is what is it you want the person to do when they see it. When the publisher designs the cover, the first thing they want you to do is pick it up and turn it over and read the back. When an author creates a website, what do I want you to do? Well, I've got options here. I have an option to join a newsletter. Just one click. Type your email, click, you join. Or you can enter a contest and try and win a free copy of the book. So I get a lot of people that way as well. You can also click through and watch a video. I've got a trailer, just like you would watch a movie trailer, and you can see a trailer for the book. It gives a little more information in a visual way if you're a visual person. There's also games and other things like that. You've got the Facebook on there. So you always make it really clear that there is some way that somebody can interact with your website. The thing is, you want to get them more interested. So a website is great. Somebody comes to your site, why would they ever come back to it again in their lives? You've got to have content that is interesting. You have to have content that changes. Otherwise, even if somebody comes to your website and they say, wow, it looks like a great book, and they see it comes out 6 months from now, they are not going to remember it 6 months from now that you have a book. So the newsletter is good, Facebook is good, any kind of social marketing is good. If you follow on Twitter, you follow on Facebook, then they start to feel like you are friends with them, particularly if you do a smart thing and respond and engage. Another thing that's good is to have, for example, I have a blog, and the blog is not in the homepage, but there's a little box over here that always shows what I'm talking about that particular day. So if you come back anytime and you glance, you can always see what's going on. And the Facebook one also updates whatever the current status is there. You can see what's going on. Am I giving away free copies of the book? Is there some other kind of contest? And for example, one time I had a contest, name the book. I needed to think of a new title for the book. I don't know. The title I liked was the title I gave it. That one, boo. So, needed help with that. So I said, okay, well, we'll give away prizes for anyone who can think of a title. So something like that, just to keep interacting with people. The more you can just be friendly, the better. Next thing that I like to do is I create what's called a microsite. If you're not familiar with the phrase microsite, it's like a website, but it's smaller, obviously, micro. Why? Why would you create a separate website if you have this website? This website has all about me, it has contests, it has history, it has excerpts from all the books. Well, it's the same way when you see a movie and a movie has its own website. You can go and see whatevermovietitle.com and it has the trailer, information about the actors, stuff to get you excited about the movie that's still not going to come out for 8 more months. They want you to tweet it, they want you to Facebook it, send it to all your friends, and wait there 3 days in advance. So, for example, this is the microsite I did for my first book. So it says Too Wicked to Kiss across the top, and it is done in the style of what was called at this time period a scandal sheet, which was a one-page newspaper and quotes, because mostly it was gossip, possibly unsubstantiated gossip, which made it all the better. So people filled it with, it was the equivalent of the Weekly World News or the Us Weekly that we have today. So when I made this, I did it in the same style. I've got Man or Monster as one of the titles over here, because the hero is the primary suspect in the murder that happens the first day. I also have the shocking twist up here. So you can see this talks about the heroine has an ability to see glimpses into other people's lives when she has skin-to-skin contact. So if she touches you, she might get one of your memories and be able to see something that either did happen or will happen. And then we also have the suspects down here, where I say all sorts of scandalous things about all the people that are visiting that first night at the house party. And then, here's the fun thing, over here in the corner, I've got the picture of the book. It says, Solve the Mystery. And it says, in like Clue, if you ever played the game Clue, you would say, oh, it was Mr. Colonel Mustard in the billiard room with a candlestick. Well, it's the same idea here. So you pick the killer, which is one of the suspects, you pick a secret weapon, and it ranges from gun to sword to monkey to E. coli, just to be silly. and the crime scene. And then again, it ranges from the possible to the improbable, and no matter what you guess, you're eligible to win a free copy of the book. So that's the purpose of the microsite, to get you excited, get you interested, what's it about, why should I care, to make it sort of fun, like, oh look, I could win a copy in advance. So there's a game, and on the Shocking Twist game, since the heroine can get visions from other people's lives, which sometimes are clear and sometimes are not remotely clear, if you click on that page, it gives you a Mad Lib style chance to create your own vision about yourself or your friends. So it'll ask you a few questions, name a noun, name a verb, and then it'll tell you your fortune, which is usually very silly and funny, and it gives you the chance to tweet it, Facebook it, share it with your friend, email it, whatever you want to do. Because the idea is to get people involved. The more people care, the more likely they will remember it when it's time for the book to come out. So when it gets closer for the book to come out, the next thing I do is I make bookmarks. And so here's an example of that. So the important things are, of course, the cover, because the more the cover is front and center, the more you'll remember it later. In fact, if you're walking in a bookstore, a cover that catches your eye may be because it's an awesome cover, or it may be because you've seen it 100 times, even if you don't remember that you've seen it before, over and over again. You're like, ooh, that looks familiar, and you'll go over and you'll pick it up. So it is my goal, it's the publisher's goal, it's the bookseller's goal, to get it in your face as much as possible for the recognition factor. So my name, the book cover, the ISBN number, there's a quote, Gothic mystery and steamy romance by New York Times bestselling author Karen Rose said about my book, and then of course a link to the website. And then on the back, there's the back cover copy and the link to the microsite. And then these, you can leave them anywhere, but what I think is a more productive use of bookmarks is to send them to the booksellers. You send them to the booksellers in advance, and then when you go to the bookstore, if somebody comes and they say, you know, I really would like to read a historical one, but I'm tired of them just dancing around in the ballroom all the time, I wish one of them would die. Then they'll say, hey, I know a book where people die on the first page. You should read Erica's book. It comes out in a month. And they can give you a bookmark and set the book up for you to be ready when the book comes out. So when my new book got done with the editing phase, I created a microsite for this one too. So this speaks to branding. It also is a gossip rag, and it has the same kind of headers, you know, coxcomb or cutthroat, sinfulness is divine, high society or highly suspect, all these kinds of things. It is similar to the one done for the other book on purpose, so that when readers see it, they will realize that it's an Erica Ridley book. Because perhaps you don't realize that I have another book out, but if you read the first book, then the idea is to keep it front and foremost in people's minds that it could be by the same author. And this one, since this one, I'll show you the cover, this one has two things that make it extremely different from the other one. They want to keep the same look and feel, so people who know that they like that particular genre will pick it up. This one has a pirate, who here was a smuggler, which is good for people in the Tampa area. And also, if you can see, the way they did this cover this time, the hero and the heroine kind of fade away as if they were almost invisible or ghostly images. And that is because ghosts do play a part in the novel. So, when this book came out, I also made bookmarks, of course, which look like this. They look very similar to the other one. Again, that's on purpose. Name, book cover, link, a different quote about the book, and the back cover on the back. One thing I did differently this time was the book cover on the back isn't for this book. The book cover on the back is for the previous book, just in case you happen to read the second book first. And the publisher did the same thing when they sent out the cover flats to the bookstores. They put an image of the first book on the back. They put, don't miss Erica Ridley's debut, just to keep that first book also front and center in the minds of the people. So, when I created a microsite for this book, I needed a new game. For the first one, I'd already done the Mad Libs. How can you make a fun and silly horoscope for yourself and send it to your friends? And for this one, what I did, since he's a pirate, is I made a pirate translator. So if you've ever been to Google Translate, translate is something